has explicitly described himself as the world's first trillionaire, saying he is even richer than Elon Musk. But the reality, far different. In fact, he just admitted in a recent court filing to try to get pretrial release that he really doesn't own all these things, that he's really not that rich. And all this stuff was just an attempt to create an image for himself that doesn't match reality. Let's discuss.
Yes, everyone, we are back on Andrew and Tristan Tate's neck yet again. Now, we know that currently he is locked up in the Miami jail. He's fighting extradition back to the UK on multiple charges, but the main charges are multiple counts of. With that being said, his lawyer, Mr. McBride, is fighting for a pretrial release before he faces his extradition hearing. Now, because of that, he has to give certain disclaimers and disclosures and, what was that? Discovery and things of that nature. Now, this man right here, and fair use to Dave Arenberg, a Florida lawman, the title of this video is "In New Bail Filing, Tate Brothers Admit Their Luxury Lifestyle Was a Fake." Yes, indeed. Now, again, this stuff is all alleged, but he has some of the paperwork that they filed in order to help them with their pretrial release, basically saying that, well, they don't have all this money, and should they be released on pretrial before, get to spend time with their family, whoever in the States before they go to trial, that they don't have enough money to actually run on the court to try to go back to Romania and things of that nature. I think that's what they're trying to do. So we're going to get into this because it is shocking. And if it's true, well, the Tate brothers aren't as rich and lavish as you think they are.
What?
Enemy spotted.
We're going to get into this reaction. Before I do, if you have as much money as you think the Tates have, well, let me know by hitting that like button. If you're new to the channel, of course, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. Again, fair use to Dave Arenberg, a Florida lawman. We're going to get right into this reaction. So let's get started.
I'm Dave Arenberg, aka the Florida Lawman, here on Substack and YouTube. Thanks for your support. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Keep supporting my work, and let's talk about the Tate brothers. So when we talk about the Tate brothers, it's about image, right? It's about all the show, but turns out they don't have the go. I'm sure they have wealth, right? But I mean, they have greatly exaggerated their wealth, as demonstrated by their own filing, their own pleading in court. They're trying to get pretrial release. They're trying to get out before they are extradited to the UK. They want to be at home with an ankle bracelet or something, and yet the fact is that they're not entitled to pretrial release because they are a flight risk. They're a flight risk in part because they have all this money and supporters around the globe, and that shows that they have the means to flee. They have people who will look to protect them. They have multiple passports, and now they're desperately trying to tell the court, Judge Lewis, a woman, and that matters because they had all their men doing push-ups outside with their testosterone and misogyny to try to influence her. That's not going to.
Oh, man, I didn't realize they got a female judge. Oh, man. Oh, man. Woo-wee. Oh, of course, misogyny and patriarchy and things of that nature. I suspect that this will probably work against them because of the charges that they could potentially be facing in the United Kingdom. This is a female judge. You hope that they're going to be impartial, but you can't help but wonder if they're thinking about the charges and these two gentlemen in general, their rhetoric and things they spout on social media and things of that nature. So they got their work cut out for them.
Try to get pretrial release. She's going to be making that decision. And in their last gasp attempt to try to convince her to get pretrial release, to try to get bail, they're saying they really don't have the money that they say they did. And it is quite telling. And I want to show you the actual legal brief. In response to the government, who said that the Tates have excessive wealth and influence, and that means they're a flight risk, well, the Tates say that the government alleges that the Tates are a risk of flight based on their social media claims that they are self-proclaimed billionaires who own high-end vehicles, private jets, and a custom-made $50 million super yacht, and have unrestricted access to traditional funds, cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin. A word about that super yacht. I did a previous video. Check it out about the Obsidian Blade. This is this magnificent yacht that they put out videos about. Here's Tristan's bedroom. Down here is my workout room. Well, it turns out they don't own it. No, it was a lie. They admit it.
Wow. Their super yacht, they don't own that. And they're also going, I think they're going to talk about some of the cars and all the other stuff too. Basically, they've been renting this stuff or they've been borrowed from and stuff like that. They've basically been living a fraudulent lifestyle, putting on to the young men in America and the world that they're these rich, uber rich, successful, fit men that are powerful. And of course, because of that, they have wielded a extreme amount of influence over the last several years.
In a recent pleading to the court, because they don't want the court to think they have all these things, because if they did, it would be evidence that they're a flight risk. If they did, it could be evidence of money laundering, perhaps. It could be charged with other crimes. So they're saying, no, we don't own any of that stuff. We're relying on the videos. They also say to support this, the government points to the theatrical social media where the Tates boast about owning luxury goods.
Let's read this real quick before we continue, because I know he's speeding through this. Media claims that there are self-proclaimed billionaires who own high-end vehicles, private jets, and a custom $50 million super yacht and have unrestricted access to traditional funds, cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin. D number 37, page 11. To support this, the government points to the theatrical social media where the Tates boast about owning luxury goods. But the government has not established these grandiose claims are true. Once again, the government provides speculation, but offers no evidence of ownership. Only videos, podcasts boast, and a market capitalization figure for a meme coin. Again, this stuff they flaunt on social media. Now, I assume that the Tate brothers hopefully are telling the truth in this, this disclosure right here, because, well, they need it for their freedom, basically, right? But it's possible they could put this stuff in other people's names and other organizations and things like that, so that where they own it, but they don't own it, right? Kind of what a lot of business people do. They put it in the LLC under their business name or whatever, so they don't personally own it, but they own it.
But the government has not established these grandiose claims are true. Once again, the government provides speculation, but offers no evidence of ownership. Only videos, podcast boasts, and a market capitalization figure for a meme coin. I haven't done a video yet on the meme coin. Maybe that's to come, but you'll see more about the meme coin in this brief. They go on to say, a promotional video filmed aboard a yacht is not evidence of title to the yacht. As set forth in the motion, the super yacht does not belong to the Tates. They receive payment to promote the ship on social media.
Yeah, man. The super yacht does not belong to the Tates. They receive payment to promote the ship on social media. Further, the Tates are engaged in several business teaching men how to earn money. It is in their interest to portray themselves on social media as uber wealthy. For example, the 1.2 million Aston Martin and the 5 and 7 million Bugattis featured in Tristan Tate's videos were rented. The valuation of Andrew's watch collection is based on a third-party enthusiast publication. As to the government's assertion about Andrew's meme coin, the value does not equal Andrew's actual holdings. Okay, so again, they're saying that this meme coin, the value of it, is they don't know. It's probably not as valuable as Andrew's putting on. These Bugattis and these luxury vehicles that they always put in their videos are all rented. And because they put this yacht on their social media doesn't mean that they actually own it. Okay.
Further, the Tates are engaged in several businesses teaching men how to earn money. Okay, that to me is a euphemism. They have their Hustlers University where they have PhDs, pimp and hose degrees. You notice they don't say how they're teaching men to make money, exploitation of women. Instead, they're saying they're teaching them how to make money. Okay? It is in their interest, the Tate's interest, to portray themselves on social media as uber wealthy. For example, the $2.1 million Aston Martin and $5 and $7 million Bugattis featured in Tristan's videos were rented.
Bugatti.
The valuation of Andrew's watch collection is based on a third-party enthusiast publication. As to the government's assertion about Andrew's meme coin, the valuation does not equal Andrew's actual holdings. The government's meme coin figure is a market capitalization. It is the aggregate value of all the meme coins in existence, held by everyone in the world. Andrew did not create Daddy as the meme coin. He holds a quantity of the coin the way a shareholder holds stock, and he only owns approximately 1% of the total coins, worth approximately $70,000. But what about being a top G? What about being a trillionaire? Well, they addressed that. During a 2026 deposition, Andrew explained his made-for-social media character, Top G. He's testifying that Top G is a character. And that character, hyperbolically, will say what he believes to be true, and perhaps sometimes he'll exaggerate for a comedic effect.
Man, oh man. In the 2020 deposition, Andrew explained that his made-for-social media character, Top G, that the character knows hyperbolically will say what he believes to be true, and perhaps sometimes he'll exaggerate for comedic effect. Man, basically he's saying, you know what? This extremely masculine man that he's putting on social media, on TikTok, and all these clips you have seen, is just him being a character of somebody that basically people, men especially, want to be. Somebody that speaks his mind unapologetically. He's super masculine. He talks to women, with the utmost confidence, and he talks to them as a woman would want to be talked to and things of that nature. Basically, this is a whole character, man. This whole thing is just a charade. Oh, man. Again, he could be saying all this stuff to save his neck, right? So all this is alleged until the government can prove, all this to be true. It's still all alleged.
It was all a joke. And then he cites his deposition that he attaches to the pleading. He added, Top G takes stories and he makes them as entertaining as possible. I think everybody who watches my content understands that a lot of it is hyperbolic. I don't think there's a single episode of anything I've ever made where people cannot tell that I'm being deliberately sarcastic or hyperbolic. Andrew also admitted that his self-description as a trillionaire on his website is a hyperbolic exaggeration for comedic effect. He stated, I don't think anybody believes I'm a trillionaire, just like nobody believes I was a pimp. It's called playing a character. It's hyperbolic for comedic effect. No one believes I'm a trillionaire. I also said I was an astronaut, but I've never been to the moon.
Man, God damn. Yo, man, if this is true, his lawyer, Andrew and Tristan Tate via his lawyer, putting themselves out there as total frauds. Okay? Their vehicles are rented, their yacht is rented or being paid for by a third party. The person that they portray on social media is not really them. He's not really a pimp. He's not really good. The ladies like that. All the stuff is staged and structured and planned out for content. And he's amassed an immense following around the world. Young men of various ages, from anywhere from probably 14, 15, all the way up to mid-30s, even 40s, follow this man religiously because of what he portrays, what he represents. And now we're saying, nobody believes I'm a trillionaire. Nobody believes I'm a pimp. Everything I say is super hyperbolic and exaggerated for comedic effect and basically to get people to follow him and give him money, which he says he doesn't have. Okay, let's go.
In the same deposition, Andrew testified that he did not recognize the handle of Wudon and said, and that it was an account impersonating him. Similarly, Tristan testified these posts are clearly a joke. He also testified, my brother brags that he's a trillionaire and the world's first trillionaire, and I back up his claims all the time. Of course, that's a lie. Tristan also stated that certain claims he made on a podcast were a gratuitous attempt at self-promotion, and nothing I say in this podcast should be taken seriously.
I want y'all to read that and let that simmer in your spirit for just a second. He says, certain claims he made on podcasts were a gratuitous attempt at self-promotion, and nothing I say in this podcast should be taken seriously. It sounded cool at the time.
Bitch, ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way.
Again, all alleged because he's going through a court case right now. But if what they're saying in this, this revelation is true, again, Andrew Tate is a character. He is a fraud in multiple ways. Allegedly.
It sounded cool at the time. So the defense is literally arguing, Your Honor, don't treat my clients as wealthy flight risks. They're just actors renting sports cars and taking sponsorship money to fool teenagers online. Those people doing push-ups outside should feel stupid. All their supporters should feel stupid.
And again, by the way, let's say that these things they're saying are true. Well, then that makes you look even more guilty to the court because you didn't use this influence responsibly. You know these people, these men around the world are following you, again, heavily, religiously. And you have used this influence to just taint their minds and their reality and their view of women. You have made their views of all these things extremely worse than they already would have been if they just lived their life without you being in it, your influence being in it. Oh, man.
Because they believed in this, and now their characters, their actors are saying, hey, get real. It was all fake. It's pro wrestling. That's what they're saying. I mean, that's what they're saying. Hey, don't believe Hulk Hogan really is all American, eat your vitamins, say your prayers, and train hard. No, it's all an act. Here's the thing, though. When the rubber meets the road in court, there's a legal test. When you look at the standard for getting pretrial release, you don't look at the standard for normal domestic federal criminal cases under the Bail Reform Act, where the presumption is in favor of pretrial release. That's not what this is. This is extradition. International extradition is an entirely different beast. Under long-standing Supreme Court precedent, dates back to a case from 1903 called Wright versus Henkel, there's a heavy legal presumption against bail in international extradition proceedings. And to overcome that presumption, you need to prove two things. One, that they are neither a flight risk nor a danger to the community. That's a problem for them. And they have to show the existence of what's called special circumstances. Special circumstances, it's a narrow standard. It doesn't mean this jail is uncomfortable. They've been saying that. It doesn't mean I have a clean record or that I am a good businessman. It's extraordinary situations, such as a severe life-threatening illness, something that can't be treated in custody, maybe an extreme and unjustified delay by the requesting country. None of this exists here. Or a total lack of any underlying criminal offense under the treaty. Like, this is not a crime in the United States, so don't send them back to a place where it's a crime there. No. That's a crime here, serious crime here, just like it is in the UK.
So basically the circumstances and the ways that they have to prove their case for pretrial release under this extradition case is different than a regular stateside case going from state to state in the country. So the burden that's on the Tate brothers and his legal team is way higher than it would be under normal circumstances in the United States of America going state to state. Woo-wee. They're in trouble.
So I don't believe that they have special circumstances here. I don't believe that they can prove they're not a flight risk or that they're not a danger to the community or that they're not a risk of tampering with witnesses. I think that this attempt to try to get out pretrial is going nowhere. They're going to be held pretrial. The decision will be made in less than a week, or at least the hearing will happen, and then we'll keep following what the decision will be. But in the end, the Tates have found themselves caught in a legal trap of their own making. Online, they projected the image of billionaires with infinite resources, multiple identities, lots of passports, and sovereign immunity. They said they're above the law. But in court, to avoid detention, they had to confess that their super yachts were rented props and that the Bugattis were leased, and the persona was just an exaggeration for views.
Bruh. And we're going to finish out the last few seconds of this, but they basically, because of their persona, because of what they have promoted on social media to the world, they have painted themselves in a corner at a time where they need the utmost sympathy with the court. And right now, they have zero at this point. Their personas have put them in a situation where they will probably most likely be deemed a flight risk, and they will spend their remaining days in jail until their extradition hearing, which could be next month, next year. And again, they're going to federal court. If they lose this extradition hearing, which because of their persona, because of what they've portrayed on social media, our government could possibly say, yeah, go on back to the UK and face the music. And I'm telling y'all, if they go back to the United Kingdom to face these charges, they are never going to see the free world ever again.
Enemy spotted.
And most of y'all out there know this. They've been doing the best to avoid the UK by going to Romania. And they were lucky to go to the States a couple of years ago when they made it into Florida, and they kind of moved around and then left and went back to Romania. This does not look good, y'all.
And I think I pronounced Bugatti correctly. I know I've been
Bugatti
criticized by mispronouncing Bugattis. I'm not a Bugatti owner, so I think that's correct, right? And so even with these admissions that they don't own these things, their legal team has failed to demonstrate the narrow, extraordinary standard for special circumstances under federal extradition law. So even if they say and prove they're not really a flight risk, they still have to show special circumstances. And they haven't. And as this proceeds in the Southern District of Florida, the facade of the Tate brothers is officially gone. It's entered into the federal record by their own attorneys. We'll keep following.
All right, we're done here, y'all. But y'all see it. The proof is in the pudding. Y'all saw the paperwork that he outlined. The Tate brothers are frauds. They will likely not be granted pretrial release. And like I'm saying, I believe, and again, I could eat crow if this doesn't happen. But in my opinion, they're not going to get pretrial release, and they will be extradited back to the United Kingdom to face these charges. Okay? We know the kind of government that the UK has over there. If they're extradited back to the United Kingdom, you can say goodbye to Top G forever. And with that being said, thank you for taking another episode of the Armchair Anchorman. I'm just a normie here in my computer chair to give you the news in front of this very expensive webcam and this microphone. Let me know what you think about the Tate brothers and their allegedly fraudulent lifestyle down in the comment section. Please, 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 please. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell, and share the video. Hit that notification bell on your way out of the door. And Tate brothers, Tristan, Andrew, Mr. McBride, if you're listening. Reality checks are free. See you next time.